Hi everyone, this is a video to show how I build my monsters for my 2D platformer, Olivia of the Occult. First of all, here we are in Sprite. The run and idle frames are already done. And here I'm just creating the follow-through frames for the stabbing animation. Stay tuned for the coding section coming up next. At this point the animation is just about done and I'm just refining the shapes and adding detail. I'm just going to go over how I made my new mob for my game. First I'll go over the node setup, then quickly over the state machine, the stabbing attack. This is not really a tutorial, but it's sort of like a devlog and anybody who's interested in how to get this to run. So anyway, let's just go to our mob here. So here it is. So what I've got, it's a simple, character body, everything's standard. It's got an extra knife hurt box, which will be turned on and off during the animation, and it's got a shape cast, for its vision. And the reason I don't use a ray cast is because I want it to have sort of like a bit of a vertical range in its sight as well. There might be a better way down the track, but for now this seems to be working fine. So let's go to the code. First thing we'll talk about is the state machine. Now the state machine for the enemies in my game is quite simple. First of all, I have the state machine on the base class, and all it is basically two variables holding the previous and current state plus a time and state variable, and then we've got a function here that will change the state. And of course the state names are constants. And how it works is when we exit a state, if it exists, then we prepare this string which will probably be like move exit, and then if the method exists we call it, then we obviously set the previous state to the current state, and then we set the new state, call the enter function with the same paradigm, and then we say that we've emitted the state. And then in our physics process we call the state by its string and we pass in the delta. On the base class we've got two default states here, move and defeated, because every single monster will have this. I mean almost every single monster. Those that are undefeatable, there is a flag for that. And then on the subclasses for each individual monster, we've got extra state names here. For this pygmy knife wielder, it's got an idle and a stab state that works right now, and I'm thinking of adding a walk state later on, but I haven't made the animation yet. Here's the functions for the state. So as you can see, idle enter, we've got playing the idle animation, and then this is the one that's called every single frame. And then we don't have an idle exit. For stab, this is the entry for stab, so stab enter. We do a few things. The reason we have these, by the way, is because we want something to happen once before the state ends or before the new state begins. Right? And then this stab frame changed is called as the stab animation plays, and we set that up in the stab enter function, as you can see. So this runs in parallel with the physics update, and so we don't have to worry about things like flushing the physics queries. We're going to enable the knife shape during the 2 frames where the knife is out, and then after that we disable it again. As we leave the state, we are going to disconnect from the signal. So that's the basic setup for the state machine and how it works, and also the stab frames. Making a monster doesn't have to be complicated, so hopefully if you're thinking of making your own monsters for your own game and you don't want to use a really complicated state machine like something that you'd use for your player character, then this is a really good compromise. You can do mostly anything here. And in my Commander Keen prototype that I made, every single monster from Keen 4, 5, and 6 that I recoded from scratch used this setup. And it was very, very easy. So anyway, I hope that helped somebody. Let's quickly go back and have a look at the monster in action. Thanks very much for watching, and check out some of my other videos where I draw some sprites and some pixel art portraits. So, yep, thank you very much. We'll see you later.